Hello, and welcome to my channel on human design. Today, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm in storytelling mode, and it's a personal story. It's a story from my early life, and it's a story from one of the darkest times of my early life. I found myself in a situation in my early 20s, I think I was 21, in a foreign country. I'm English, and I found myself in India. And I got sick and I went to the health center and they gave me antibiotics and they didn't work. And I went back and I said, it's not working. You know, I had acute amoebic dysentery. I was losing weight very fast and I was getting weaker and weaker and I was in pain. And they said, okay, we're going to give you this. They gave me some, what was it? Tetracycline, I think. And that didn't work either. And they said, look, we've tried everything that we know to help you and it hasn't worked. So what we advise you to do is to go home and eat some boiled rice and good luck. Yeah. Well, at 21, you don't know much about many things. And so I followed their advice and I got weaker and weaker. And I was in a room that was quite dark. I was spending most of my time in a horizontal position, crawling to the bathroom and back again. Oh, it takes a lot of energy to think. I didn't have the energy to think. It taught me a lot, that how much energy is taken up in thought. And one day followed another, followed another. I had no friends there. I had no one to call to help. I had very little money and I hadn't got a bloody clue. Not a good situation to be in. But when I realized as the days went by bit, day after day, and the same kind of day again and again and again, and all that happened was that I got weaker and weaker, thinner and thinner, less able to do anything. And it came to a point when I realized I was going to die here because I couldn't see any way out. There was nothing in my experience that could come up with any kind of answer. But lucky for me, I'm a manifesting generator 1-3 with the journey of discovery and the channel of mutation and the channel of struggle. And it was time for me to struggle for purpose. And in that time, the purpose was simply to stand. Maybe I can stand up. Now, it's been a long time since that time, but I can still remember the effort it took to go from being horizontal to go to vertical. It was a big change. All my limbs were needed, my feet and my legs and my arms and my hands, to crawl up, to push myself against the wall, to be able to stand. I told myself that if I'm going to die, at least I want to have one last meal. I mean, I was probably starving too, to some degree. But anyway, I managed to get myself vertical, which was a big thing. Once vertical, then the spinning in the head, the blood moving in a different way. I had to stabilize for a few minutes. And then came the challenge. Well, can I walk? Can I move forward? And I found that one painful step after another, I could, slowly. And I managed to get to the door. And I remember opening the door. And this was India, for heaven's sake. I opened the door and the sun flooded in. Wow, I missed the sun. I knew nothing about human design at that time. I didn't know that I was here to eat on a frequency of daylight, how important the sun was to me. I didn't know. But at that moment, I knew. It was like death in here, life out there. And my task was to try to get to a place where I could have my last meal. It seemed kind of impossible because so much stagnancy, so little energy, It was very much like a tunnel vision in order to try to get through there. And I managed to open the door and I managed to step outside, and I indeed managed to walk very slowly along those dusty paths. And as I was walking, I could see up ahead of me that there was a cow that was in the way. And I thought, well, I mean, I didn't think much, but it was like the cow is up there. Thought it would move as I approached. It didn't. It just looked at me, and I looked at it. It was the first living thing that I'd actually encountered for a long time. It was amazing. And when I looked into that cow's eyes, expecting that I was going to die in the very near future, and I looked at that cow and it looked at me, the only word I can come up with is love. I mean, maybe I was feeling terribly sorry for myself. Maybe I was taking in the connection with another being that I hadn't had for so long. But it changed me. That meeting changed me. And I moved around the cow and I continued on my way a step at a time. Somehow I managed to get to the restaurant. I managed to get through the door. I managed to sit down, and a menu was given to me, and I heard myself ordering something, taking in the whole environment, taking in the vibe, taking in the auras of other people, taking in the different environment. And they brought me my meal. And I'd ordered a sizzler steak. And I began to eat the steak, and I began to get more energy. But I also couldn't finish the steak because I thought of the cow. I thought of, where does this steak come from? So I ate what I could eat. And I hadn't thought beyond that. I hadn't thought about actually surviving it. But there's only so much time you can spend looking at a meal you finished in a restaurant with people. And it became apparent that I had survived. I had achieved my goal in getting there and eating. And now it was time to walk back. Now it was a time to get back to that darkness where I'd come from, to lie down and rest. The walk itself had taken quite a lot out of me. So another struggle, another following the alpha in me. The next step was to go home and see what happens. So I got out of that restaurant and I walked a step at a time, still slowly. I don't know what the hell I looked like. I must have looked a complete mess. I was very skeletal at that time. And I guess I would have been a shocking sight. I had lots of fuzzy hair at the time, and I hadn't thought much about what I was wearing. I can't even remember what I was wearing. But anyway, I staggered back one step at a time, and I came to the same part of the road where I'd met the cow earlier on. And I smiled when I thought of that meeting, and I kept walking. And then out of the blue, an Indian guy, a guy I'd never met before, comes up to me. Maybe he was originally, he saw me as a white person, or maybe I can get some money from this Baba. But he could see that I was not in a good way healthily, and I had this kind of a focused view in my eyes. I was just trying to get back to rest again. And he got very animated with me. What is it? What is wrong? What is the matter with you? What is the matter with you? And I couldn't answer him. I didn't have the energy to say anything, really. It all seemed rather pointless to me. And then something happened. He stared at me. And then suddenly he said, I know what it is. And stay here, he said. I thought, well, I'm not going to go very far, very fast. So, I took another step. I took another step after that, moving slowly. And suddenly I hear shouting, he's coming back. Here, 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 here. Take this, take this. And he had this big aloe vera leaf he was holding. And he said, there, eat, eat. And I had no conception of how to eat this thing or what to do. He said, I show you, I show you. And he gets out a knife. And I go, oh, well, looks like I'm going to die in a different way. And he took the leaf, and instead of stabbing me, he cut the leaf open. And he opened it up. Here, I show you. I show you. And it was a big mature leaf. And he said, eat, eat, eat the jelly. So I did. And that first mouthful changed everything. Suddenly I felt tingles going through the body. I felt myself coming back more alive. I just, this was such a new thing for me. I didn't know what would happen, but it gave me more vitality straight away. And he said, you find others, keep eating. So I had this nourishment from this stranger, and I got back and I felt better. I felt better from the meal. I felt better from my 2 major meetings. I felt better from the aloe vera. I managed to find other aloe vera leaves, and I began to eat those, and I began to get stronger. And within 10 days, I had cleared out the amoebas and the parasites from the body. And I tell you this story as a meeting of the miraculous. I tell you this story because I met something that was beyond my experience, that was beyond my imagination. As far as I could see, there was no hope. And yet, out of the blue, help came from a stranger. So I tell you this story to remind you, if you're in a place that seems completely hopeless, there is help around. We are never alone. We are in our own life, but our own life overlaps with the life that's happening around us. And it is sometimes necessary to go out and meet it, even if you don't know where you're going, even if you don't know what you're going to encounter. Life has a way of bringing to you things from unexpected sources. I could be cute here and tell you I've been saved by sugar ants, and I've been saved by frogs, and I've been saved by rabbits. But I won't go into those stories right now. All I will say is the miraculous is all around us if we go out and meet it. And we don't have to know where it's coming from. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please like and share and subscribe if you did, and I will see you again very soon with something completely different. Bye for now.